Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades and this is a review for the ES and NQ futures for August 22nd. I'm going to start off on the ES here. I'll flash the NQ just so you can see the day. A little more action on the ES today. It's like more movement, like the NQ looks like there's more movement and price is moving more, but that doesn't always necessarily mean more trades. Certainly not today. So anyway, starting off here, this is the overnight high and this is the overnight low. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here, just as we were breaking out right there. And so we have this uptrend, then we get this break. When an uptrend gets a break, you can expect prices to attempt a new high. Now, after that break, you can see price clearly does attempt. We make a new high with that wick right there. It is very, very choppy, however, but that new high right there was enough to send it into a reversal. Price immediately pushed back down, fading the overnight high, and we push back out here, but we quickly get a second leg down. So this is a great place for a failed second entry, whether it happens right here or even if it happens stemming from right here. Considering the fade, this is a common reversal area. When you come off one side of a range or an overnight level, you can expect price to attempt to reach the other side. Now, one thing I do want to mention is when you bounce right here, this basically sets the measured move, so you can just copy this arrow over to wherever the swing stops. And so then as it pushes lower here, you have this measured move in play. So if you did get a failed second entry, a nice clear push lower, a couple legs back, you would need room to this measured move right here. Sometimes it doesn't matter. You can push it out a tick or two if you have good context, but you generally don't want to expect it to push on through because these are important levels. Price will reach them and bounce off. Now, considering we're fading, if your target needed to go a couple ticks through, it's not a big deal, but you don't want to enter and then push your target out like that far, you know what I mean? So obviously there is no entry right here, but just, for example. So anyway, we push on lower here, and then we get these two legs back. So we get the first leg back, and then notice that there's actually two legs of correction before that next clear leg up. So the market moves in pairs of twos. It's very important to understand, even on this first leg right here, before it turned on down, we have these two legs up. There's a little wick lower right there. And to me, I just view this as one leg because it's, a tick lower like that. On a bigger picture, it doesn't really matter. But it just goes to show price action works the same on every level. You have two legs up right there, which pushes us into these two legs down, which is just separating between these two bigger picture legs here. So anyway, two legs up, retesting this previous measured move level. We can expect a fade for this range right here, because when you break out of a range, you can expect price to attempt to fade, very similarly to when you break out of an overnight level. And so we can expect price to attempt to fade. We're retesting a measured move level, and we're also at another measured move level right here. And so this is a great place for a short, and we get an extremely bearish reaction to it, closing on its low with room to the end of this range right here. So this is a great looking trade right here. Now we continue on lower here. We break out of this range. I'm going to remove this just for a second. And so we break out of this range right here, and then we fade back in. The highs react perfectly fine. No entries because we have a new low here, and this is just a first entry right here, and it's staying above the EMA. Nothing to take there. But it does push lower, and now we make another swing at this same level. Now, if you break out of a range twice and you have two clear swings, you can look to extend that range. And so we extend it to here, and it's pretty clear. The range is getting bigger, and now I'm going to just put this back really quick just so you can still see the visual for this trade right here. So get that back. Now notice inside of this range right here, price made this double bottom, nearly reaching the overnight low, but not quite. Now sometimes that's enough for a reversal. We do have this wider trend just from those two swings right there, so we have to consider that, but it's very common to get a reversal even if you don't quite reach the overnight high. It oftentimes will make a bottoming pattern such as a double bottom and then push into one. So if we get a spike up, we can get a reversal pattern, but we just want to make sure that we're not entering long into this trend line right here. Now, in this case here, notice we get this higher low. I don't like this higher low because we didn't reach the overnight low. Now, like I said, this is still a common area to get a reversal, but I would want to see a full-on reversal pattern considering, once again, we didn't quite reach the overnight low, which does act as a magnet. Price does get attracted towards it. And if you notice here, this measured move is not met. And so considering the measured move is not met, we're at this magnet, or we can expect this is a magnet and price is likely to be attracted to it, especially because of that measured move. I would want to see a clear reversal pattern, not just a higher low that initially pushed far below the EMA. Now in this area here, they're actually on the NQ in this exact same area. We had reached the overnight low, and so we had better context for a long right here, and we'll get to that when we get to the NQ. And so anyway, we push on up here, we reach this high reacts great again, it just kind of gets a little bit choppy, and then we have a sharp push down, pushing it a couple of ticks out from this range low right here, but it had already pierced, so that level is kind of iffy anyway, but it's very close, not pushing it out very far. We still have this magnet right here, this overnight low, and again, very bearish reaction, very clear reaction to this range high right after this two-legged measured move up. Also, again, retesting that same level that price tested before, pushing into these two legs down. So I really like this right here. We continue lower. Notice that price starts reacting to the trend line from this low right here. It immediately starts going sideways. That's real sideways right there. And it looks like a straight up box right there. So anyway, we push on down here. We start going sideways, then price overshoots. So at first we held a bit, and then this is a clear overshoot. Overshoots, are when it pushes out the same side with the bias. So for instance, in a downtrend, you break out the lows, that's an overshoot. You break out the highs of an uptrend, that's an overshoot. And overshoots, generally, in the case of a downtrend, indicate oversold. Some people have indicators to tell them oversold, overbought, RSI. I'm not knocking any of that. For me, I personally don't use that stuff because you can just tell what the price is doing from the price action. If you are in a downtrend and price is pushing out the low of a downtrend, that indicates oversold. And very commonly after overshoots, price will break out of the channel off the other side in a sharp, very sharply often. And so it's also very common to get reversal patterns, failed second entries, stemming from an overshoot. And so if we push up here and get a failed second entry, a reversal pattern clearly holding above the EMA, we can absolutely take a long as we have room to the upper trend line. Because just because you get an overshoot, that's not a guarantee that the trend is going to break. It is possible for them to recover, but it's extremely likely for it to break. That overshoots, generally, you can expect a break after they occur, but it doesn't mean you want to expect it to happen. You can expect it to probably happen, but you don't want to expect it enough to where you're entering directly into the trend line. That is a no-no. And so anyway, great place for a reversal pattern. You just need room. In this case here, we don't quite get that. It just really just pushes on up without us, and we break out the high. And I do want to mention, just for anyone who's new to the bigger picture, I see to the tick right here, there's a failed second entry, like first entry short, second entry short failure. One, you're right into that previous trend line right there. It also reacted to it right there. But the main thing for me is you have two legs up right there. So two legs up, and also the entry is directly into the trend line. We already tested it right there. Clearly there's resistance right there, and you're at two legs up. You definitely don't want to go long right there. But it ends up pushing on higher, and we go into this very, clear uptrend. And then this uptrend right here actually gets a little overshoot right before it breaks here, and that's at the overnight low retesting. And so considering this downtrend has a break, and we can expect price to a new low, this is a great place to get another failed second entry holding below the EMA. So a clear push lower. Let me just copy this around here. And a couple of clear legs up. This is a great place for that because stemming from the high, that's first entry long, second entry long, failure, while expecting a new low from the downtrend right after retesting a major key level, the overnight low. But in this case here, we just don't get that. It just pushes on lower here, very sharp move down. So now we have this downtrend right here, break, second leg down, and what those legs are is the two legs down for this downtrend break. So what we have here is this. So downtrend, break, first attempt lower, and then second attempt lower. So, price action works the same on all levels. Small picture, looking at each wick that goes by, and also much bigger, levels, the trends that last the whole day. So it's very important to understand this. The downtrend has a break. You're getting two attempts at a new low, and so you have a new low at this point. The measured move isn't met, but very soon, maybe it'll go down there, maybe it won't. But if you push above the EMA here, this is a great place for a reversal pattern higher. Even though it's been down all day and it's just this downtrend, the downtrend is played out. It's not that far from the overnight. It still has great capacity to fade back up. So if we get a clear reversal pattern, then we can get along. And so a reversal pattern, again, is a failed second entry. Now, it's important to understand, because sometimes this can confuse people. A failed second entry isn't always necessarily a reversal pattern. Like you can take, if you're in an overall downtrend, you can take a failed second entry long and continue with the downtrend. But it is extremely common to get failed second entries at reversal areas, such as these key levels are overnight levels coming off of one side of a range. It's just extremely common. And so here we can expect price to attempt to fade back up because the downtrend is played out and it's still not that far. And so if we get a failed second entry, we call it a reversal pattern because it's so common to occur at common reversal areas. And so that's why we call them that. And so anyway, that's what I'd be looking for here. That's really it for the ES. I'm going to hop over to the NQ now. And so here we go. Again, overnight high right here, overnight low right here. Started trading at 8 Central Time, this area right here. And notice here, we have this uptrend, and we break out of the overnight high, continuing up with the uptrend, and then we get a break. So we have uptrend, break. Now, when you break out of an overnight high or an overnight low, you want to wait for 2 attempts to fade before buying the breakout. And so here, we won't be able to go long, even though this uptrend is still in play and we can expect price to make a new high, because we have to consider the key level, the overnight high, which is a magnet and price will attempt to fade back in. And so you need 2 attempts to fade before buying it. And on that second attempt to fade, we've already faded back in and it's struggling to push back out. Absolutely nothing to take there for a long. And so we push on up here, again, it struggles, then we quickly push back down, we reach this measured move. Really, it's a pretty choppy area as well. I didn't like going short there. There wasn't much room to this measured move because your stop has to go all the way up here. If this stop wasn't so big, then this wouldn't, then this would look fine. But your stop has to go all the way up here, and your entry is all the way down here, very close to that measured move, which is just not perfect because you'd have to push your target a lot further than the measured move. If you're entering down there. Look at that. And then it doesn't work because look what happened. Well, in this case, it doesn't actually fully stop you out. So you would end up winning this trade if you held. But the point is, price, as soon as price met this measured move right here, it immediately attempted to reverse back out. And so that's why we don't push our targets too far past this. Now, this is not an ideal trade because it looks fine given if the stop wasn't so big, it would look fine given the context. But again, this downtrend right here, this little downtrend has a break and a new low. Now, the measured move is still in play, which is what makes it okay to look for a failed second entry still at this reversal area. But you don't want to expect price to go through this right here because very consistently they don't. And so that's why we need to control our targets and not be too greedy, not push it past certain key levels and measured moves. And we have to look at the overall context to determine whether it's okay to push it out a couple ticks. So anyway, either way, all right looking area. It just didn't set up perfectly. Anyway, we push on up here. At this point, we continue on down right after we reach the overnight high. Again, push back out, which means we go into this wider channel here. The highs are fitting, the lows are fitting. Great looking channel, pretty clear. It is very choppy, but you can still see it. And then we get a break, and then price starts pushing down to a new low. This is forming a two-legged move. When you get a downtrend break and price starts pushing to a new low, that really is just forming a two-legged move. And so anyway, we continue on lower here. As soon as we reach this measured move, price doesn't even react to it. We just push on through. Excuse me, my throat is kind of bothering me. So anyway, we push on lower here. This downtrend, even though it's that second leg, since it's so much more, it pushed way further than the measured move, and it's just clearly more of a spike. It's not as sideways. This is clearly acting as its own trend. Price does still go and react to that measured move level and gets a good reaction, but notice what happens after this downtrend gets a break. We have two clear attempts at a new low. It makes a new low on that second attempt, and then price immediately reverses higher. Pretty sharp push up, only to stop at that previous measured move level. Sorry, I didn't mean to move that there. only to stop at that measured move level. Now in this case here, like on the ES, we got a trade in this area. Didn't quite set up as well here on the NQ. It's really just, one leg up right there, and then we don't get any clear bearish reaction until down here, but again, it's just one leg up. And so this lower high to me is just too small picture. It's just barely ticked higher and pushed lower. I would want to see a clear separation between these two legs. I would want to see a leg down and then a leg up, separating it and then forming a clear higher low. A little bit too small picture. Also, I was dealing with the ES at this point anyway. So anyway, we push on down here. We already are reaching the overnight low on this first leg down. Remember, in this same area on the ES, we were not quite reaching it. Now here, we get two legs down. Measured move is nearly met. We're pushing out of the overnight low. We fade back in. Now, like on the ES, we didn't reach the overnight low here, so I didn't like the long that was offered there. But here, since we're coming off, fading back into the overnight low, pushing back above the EMA, we do end up getting back below, but we close back above and hold off this trend line right here, which is why I like this long right here. And so, just a common reversal area, pushing off the overnight low. This downtrend has a break in two clear legs to a new low, and then price is holding above. So that's why I like this so much there. And then price continues on up. As soon as it reaches the other side of the range, price plummets on down, and we go into this leg here. Now it's pretty clear to see that on a bigger picture, this downtrend with its break and two legs to a new low is one leg itself on a bigger picture. Stemming from here down to here, it's pretty clear that that's one move, and then this reversal attempt, because again, these two legs up is a reversal attempt from this trend playing out. The trend played out with two legs to a new low, and then price made two attempts to reverse, which failed, and that failure is what causes this second bigger leg, and that's why we have this measured move drawn here. So we continue on lower here. Great place to get a failed second entry. If we push on lower here and get two legs back, this really is a good place to get a failed second entry, just because, with those two legs back, we would have our two attempts to fade, which would make it safe to go short and short the breakout, which usually you don't want to just short the breakout because you're getting a red bar. But if you get your two attempts to fade, you're entering on a failure. And considering this measured move right here, which I'm going to unclutter a bit just because this is kind of hurting my eyes, how much stuff is drawn here. So considering we have the measured move still in play, this is a great area to get that. But, unfortunately, it just plummets on down without us. So anyway, we continue on lower here. We overshoot this downtrend. Again, overshoots tend to lead to breaks. It's a great place to get a reversal pattern, but we don't quite get anything. We continue lower here. Price attempts to push up here, only to be held down by the EMA. Of course, there's no way that you'd go short here because this is just a first entry. But anyway, we push one lower here, we make a new low, and then we start going into this channel right here. So, you draw it off that low, you can slowly extend it as it forms, and we just didn't get any clear entries on the way up. Notice price got a little bit reactive once we got to this previous measured move level. It started getting a bit choppy. But anyway, no clear reversal pattern on the way up. We do have this push up here and then a higher low, but again, just like on the ES in the same area, you're entering right into that trend line, which you don't want to do. And so anyway, it pushes on up without us. We break. Now this downtrend has a break. When a downtrend gets a break, you can expect prices to attempt a new low. Now here we got our first attempt at a new low. Now notice I already had this drawn here. We push up, break, we start making a second one up. This is a great place to get a big picture failed second entry, because if price continued up here, you'd have first entry long, second entry long, failure. But obviously on this second leg, it ended up fizzling out and getting very choppy. It really did not set up ideal here for a short. It really just got straight sideways. I would want to see a much cleaner failed second entry right there. So anyway, it just didn't set up very well, but it did end up plummeting on down. So anyway, we push on lower here. We're already getting a couple attempts back up. This, even though we've been down all day and it's been basically just a downtrend break and then a couple legs to a new low, because you can see, this leg here is that second leg. So first attempt lower, second attempt lower. The downtrend is played out. You could still get a reversal pattern. You could still get a long. It just has to be clear, push up, two legs back, first entry short, second entry short, failure. And so I'll draw that out just because I know that sometimes people who are new to this like to see the visuals drawn out. So like this, first entry short, second entry short, which I'd like to see it a little bit higher up than that, second entry short, and then failure. And so this is a common reversal pattern. It could definitely occur. It just has to set up good. And yeah, that's really going to do it for this video. I hope it helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.